Hello, everyone. Welcome. So glad that you are here. I am Trish Carr, one of the co founders of Women's Prosperity Network, and this is the Be Real, Get Real podcast. And this is all about meeting people, getting to know people better, because, in the world of business, we tend to spend our time talking about our businesses with each other. But the fact is, we do business with people. So this is the opportunity to go deeper and get real. And when we get real, when we're real with other people, we can get really great results. So it is my pleasure to be with you today. And I'm so excited to introduce you to my guest. She does something really interesting, I think most of you will find very cool. Let me tell you a little bit about Kate Brown, and then I'm going to bring her on. She is the owner, founder of Kate Brown Healing Essentials, and her private practice deals with humans and animals, which I think is so interesting. She specializes in the use of essential oils and energy work for people and animals. She's a certified clinical aromatherapist. She teaches that certification, which is such a huge important thing is the essential oils that are out there that can make a difference for us so that we can avoid taking pharmaceuticals which have lots of side effects, but essential oils come from the universe. So they're wonderful to use for a variety of different reasons. She's also a healing touch for animals certified practitioner, as I mentioned. And her programs include Animal Sense University, species specific essential oils education. So, based on the type of animal you have, she can figure out what's the right thing. And she lives in Utica, Illinois, which is a really, really small town about 90 miles southwest of Chicago. And she's the author of several books on using aromatherapy. She lives with her husband, Bruce, their two dogs, Hudson and Gus. I love those names. And their two horses, Boomer and Lizzie. So help me welcome, please, Kate Brown, who is joining us today from her little town in Illinois. Kate, welcome. I'm so happy that you are here with us today.
Hi, Trish. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much to you guys for putting these incredible programs together so we can share with one another. I just think it's so amazing, all of the things that WPN comes up with, and I'm excited to be a part of your organization.
Well, thank you. I'm excited that you are here with us today because what you do is so interesting. When I think about it, when I lived in Atlanta, so I live in South Florida now, but when I lived in Atlanta, I lived in the city, and Atlanta is a very cool city. Most people don't even know that. I'm going to use the term loosely, very woke city. It's a city that the people that live in the city are very, recycle, take care of the earth, love animals. Everybody has a dog in
Right.
Atlanta. And I did, when I had my animals, I had cats. And I did have a vet that did energy work.
Mhm.
And but here I can't find anybody who does that. So tell me a little bit about how did you get started doing what you're doing? I mean, it's fascinating, this type of work.
It really is. And, I've always been an animal lover and, kind of always was that person who, because really struggled with social anxiety and depression since I was a child,
Mm,
sometimes I felt like I related better to animals than I did with people. And so, of course, my animals led me into this. My husband rides horses competitively, and we were at a horse show, and his mare was having some issues, and we were going to do something kind of invasive, something that would have, in the long run, hurt her, but we didn't know
mm,
what else to do. That was the traditional medical model of looking at that. And we had a vet who rode horses with my husband, and she suggested that we use some essential oils and do some chiropractic on her instead and see if that would help. And honestly, we so didn't know what essential oils were. We called them stinky water because they were so fragrant, and they did work
right.
really poorly because we were using oils like lavender and lemongrass
Mm,
that were very, watery feeling, not oily feeling. And it just, the amazing transformation, not only to what happened with our Mare Scarlet physically, because it was just all kinds of great things happened with what we thought was an injury that was, not able to be healed, that we were actually able to heal what was going on physically with her. But we realized she had been in pain for so long that it actually changed her personality.
Oh, that's
So
so
she became
wonderful.
so much easier to be around. And, during this same time, at the time, I was on 7 different medications for anxiety and depression. And I had been for 30 years, been on this roving cocktail of different medications, and some medications for the side effects of other medications. And if anybody's been down that rabbit hole, you know what that can be like. And so I started to think, well, if this works so well for my horse, and I've started to use things on my dogs, and why am I not doing something for myself? And about a year after I'd found essential oils, I had just took the leap and finally ordered some just for me that I was going to use for me, not for the barn, not for the dogs. And I went to a Tony Robbins seminar. And when I came home, the first thing I did, I didn't even unpack my suitcases or take them out of the car. I came in the house and I threw away my medication. And I
Oh my
started,
goodness.
I'm not going to tell anybody to do that, but I'm just
No, no,
saying
no. But I mean, that's a bold move, Kate
it
Brown.
was after all those years. And I have never looked back from that. You know, I feel like essential oil saved my life. And while I do so many other things now, I always look at essential oils as being the foundation to what got me here and where I always go to first. So I do other things with them, but it's like I always look at what can I do with my oils and how can I build on what I'm doing with my aromatherapy. And when I can remember starting to take classes to become an aromatherapist, which I didn't think I'd ever have a practice, Trish. I was doing it just for me, just for my own animals, just for my own practice, or, my
Right.
own health practice. And it got to a point where it's like, I could not share what I did. And so, like,
Right.
my whole life, I felt like my anxiety and depression ruled the day. How I felt about that. I was afraid to do something, I wouldn't go do it. I felt lousy, I wouldn't interact. I didn't go on to school, didn't go get a job, didn't all of these big choices in my life were led by what was going on with my mental health. And when I found essential oils, when I found energy work, when I started to understand how I could balance the mind body spirit complex, like everything shifted. Everything shifted. I didn't know how unhappy I was and still till I felt happy again.
Yes.
I didn't realize how spiritually disconnected I was
Mhm.
until I started to interact with that part of my life again. So it was just like such an amazing transformation for me. And in the meantime, I learned about healing touch for animals and I started taking classes with that. And I actually am one of 5 international instructors for healing touch for animals with
Five
that.
people in the whole 5 people in the whole
5
world,
in
and
the
you're one of them.
world. Yeah.
Wow, that's
Yes.
amazing. And so many people, first of all, thank you so much for sharing all that. First of all, about your mental health. The more we talk about our mental health as being just as same as having a broken leg, the more acceptable it is. I too still deal with depression, have my
Mhm.
whole life as well. And I'm really interested in when you said that you came home from Tony Robbins. So the combination of knowing essential oils would work and Tony Robbins, who gets everybody riled up, right? After my first, Tony Robbins helped me decide I wanted to get divorced. Like I remember driving in the car listening to Tony Robbins. I went, I could get divorced if I want. He's really so motivational. But Was it just like that? Like, had you been doing a regimen of oils and then you threw away the medication?
I really hadn't. While I went to see him. As you said, from Illinois. I went to see him in Denver, and when I got home, the oils that I had actually ordered for me, I had done a little research about what to get for depression and anxiety. I had ordered three or four oils just for me, and when I was gone, they got delivered. So I really didn't start using them for myself. Now I'd been using them secondarily because while I was using them on my animals. So
Right.
I'm getting some of those benefits, but not with the intention to help me. And when I got home, I knew there was such a flash while I was there that weekend that I was going to die if I kept this up. I just knew I wasn't going to be here much longer. On the, I have about 10 years of my life I barely remember. My husband talks about things and I'm like, was I there?
Wow.
Because the drugs just like had
Oh, totally.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
still dealing with the side effects, 16, 17 years later, I'm still dealing with the side effects that those years of being on the medication did to
Mm.
my physical being, and in turn to, my emotional and, mental and spiritual being too.
Well, and that's the thing, we think that, we're a pop the pill society. I'll take a pill and I'll lose 10 pounds. I'll take a pill and I'll feel better. And we don't think about what's happening internally and the damage that it does. So to hear you say that you still deal with issues 16 years later as from the effects that were not meant to be the effects that you needed, but from what they
Right.
call side effects, which they are the effects. So that's, so any of you who might be listening, like, let's zero in on this. Kate has an answer for you, and it doesn't include having to take. I don't have any problems with taking pharmaceuticals. I have taken antidepressants, and they have helped me in the moment. But being on them long term is what we're talking about, and that long term um, damage that it's doing can be undone partially, and also you can have a life free of that with essential oils. Kate, would you give me just one clue as to what oil might help? What maybe one oil that might help?
Well, one of my favorite oils that I always turn to when I'm working with anxiety, depression for myself, for animals, because animals deal with it too, and with people when I'm working with my clients or doing education, is bergamot. It's one of my favorite oils to work with. There's a lot of research with bergamot that shows its ability to help with anxiety and depression and even panic attacks. I
I'm
had a
writing it down.
Yeah, I had a client who operated heavy equipment and thought he was going to lose his job because he was starting to have panic attacks. And he could pull the bergamot out of his pocket and not even open the bottle and just smell it. And it was, if he could catch it, he could lower that, kind of lower the temperature on what was going on, get that relaxation response, help the autonomic nervous system come back into balance and avoid going clear into this. And just recently, we were talking about a little bit before, my husband has had really like the bad COVID, like the
The
whole,
bad,
I
yeah.
mean,
I always tell people I had Corona Light. That's how
yeah,
I feel. I didn't have a lot of bad symptoms, but your husband has been going through it, sister, and that therefore you have been going, and you had it too, but
I
not
did
as
at the
severely
same
as
time.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he had the whole cytokine storm. But one of the things that I feel like's not being talked about nearly enough is that he came home from the hospital after about 3 weeks and was in spiritual crisis, was having panic attacks, had never had anxiety or fear like that in his life. And so here he was unable to breathe due to what was going on physically, and the emotional and spiritual and mental components of what was going on were just exacerbating that to, and kind of being on that hamster wheel. He would start to get so anxious, he would start to go into panic.
Oh my
He didn't
gosh.
believe he could get better.
Mm,
And we feel like that essential oils and working with energy and putting some crystals around him and, really raising the frequency made such a huge difference in helping him to heal from that part of it. So now that that we're dealing with that we can deal with what's going on physically. But when he didn't believe that he was going to get through this, when he was in that spiritual crisis of that, when he was mentally just completely, in a different world from this, it was very hard to think about what was going on physically for him and to help himself. So it was amazing to see what we did. And Bergamot, as I mentioned, was one of the big ones that we used to work with that. And his favorite oil always is Raven Sarah, which is not a real known one, but it is really good. Yeah, it's really high in 1,8 cineol, and it kind of smells like Vicks. And his mom when he grew up, his mom used Vicks for everything.
Me too.
And it kind of smells like it. So he's always like that. But that has been like it's a grounding oil. It's from a tree. And not only has that been helpful to open up his lungs and to help with that piece of it, but really has been powerful in helping to engage his brain again, kind of bring back the common sense. He was one of these guys that's a super common sense, nothing kind of bothered him kind of guys. And to see him be in a totally different space was really scary and hard for, his daughter and I, to work with that. So Raven Sarah was like has been a godsend. Every day we're diffusing it and we're putting it on, and then the Bergamot was another big one, and many other things we were using too. But those are two really big ones that were really helpful for us.
Wonderful, yeah. Wonderful. And tell me about. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I was just going to say, even people who are having the Corona Light are sometimes still having some of these, side effects other.
Well, I've been having like a little bit of brain fog. Like I know what I want to say, and I might get interrupted, and then I can't remember, or I know what I want to say, and I start saying it, and I lose the words. But I think I can use it as a great excuse. I had Corona, so I have brain fog. You know what I mean? But yeah, I have some of that too, and I had the light version. Tell me, one of the things that, so what's the difference between going on Amazon and buying really cheap essential oils and buying high quality? Like, I know there's, which brand do you recommend?
I work with Young Living. That was what I was introduced to, a long time ago when every company that is into healthcare wasn't selling essential oils. And I like it because A, it's got a long history. B, I love the testing and the chemistry, and that you can call and talk to the chemist when you need to, and all of the pieces kind of behind the scene that we don't think about. And I go to lots of the big, national conventions for essential oils, and I just really have not found another brand that I feel like is more helpful for me and that is a higher quality across the board with that. But I would just, if you want to talk with me about that, I'm happy to, for people to reach out to me and talk about that. But please don't buy from like a big box store or from someplace where that's not their main thing is essential oils. You need to understand and do some research, and you need to look at what testing has been done and how are they grown. I'm a farm girl. I grew up on a farm when I was a kid, and my parents still live on a farm, and a couple of my sisters still, are in farm families. And we are so like about the land. And, it's one of the things that I've always loved about working with Young Living was that, working the land, that they have their own farms, that they have all these partner farms, that they work right from, how the soil, what kind of soil are we putting them in and what type of seeds and all of that. And so I get a little geeky about the farm stuff about it. And I really love that piece of it. But I also love the quality and the testing. And, a lot of companies will say they do mass spectrometry or, gas chromatographs or something, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. when it comes to testing for essential oils. So, and here's the thing that I always find, Trish, that's really important is that if you're using a poor quality product, you can have bad results from that. You can hurt yourself, you can hurt your pets so tremendously. And we see these, horror stories with our animals. And it's so important to me that we use the highest quality oil available at the lowest quantity that makes sense for ourselves and for our animals. And, that's part of the reason that I've developed Animal Sense University too, to be, work with our animals and with the species, because that's a whole other story. We talk about, some of our animals, what they can and can't take from an essential oil perspective. So,
Well, it's nice to, first of all, I never even considered that using a lower quality essential oil might be harmful rather than helpful. So thank you for that. Second, it does take some research. So I'm one of those people that I don't want to do that. So I'll call you. I'll be
yeah,
in touch with you. And I want to invite all of you to be in touch with Kate. She's got some free good stuff on her website. So you can go there and what do you have available at the website, Kate, that they could get for
um,
free?
yeah, for free, you can get a video and an ebook on 6 keys for supporting your immune health, something that's so important right now.
Right, right.
Yeah. And I talk about some great ideas for doing that, for the 6 keys of the different things that we can look at, and also what essential oils that we can look at, how we can use our essential oils to support, the food that we're eating, the water that we're drinking, the exercise that we're doing, how we can incorporate our essential oils into that. So it's a nice little about 30-minute video and a nice, I don't know, 30. I think the ebook's about 60 pages. So it's a good
Perfect.
ebook. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Lots of good
perfect.
information. So
Perfect. Kate, thank you so much for being with us today and for sharing, who you are. And I certainly can see your inspiration for what you do, and you make such a difference. And I know that many of you watching, many of you with us right now, are people who have furry babies, right? A lot of people. I'm one of them. I don't have those babies that come out of you and grow up. I don't have those. So furry babies is just as good as it's my baby,
it
and
is.
with them and with them it's like having an infant their whole lives. They can't tell you what's wrong,
Right.
but to have someone like you as um, their help, their mentor, their guide, their advisor is priceless. So I really urge all of you, if you have pets, for sure reach out to Kate. And even if you don't, I just wrote down 2 oils. I'm going to be calling Kate to order. So, Kate, thank you so very much. Any last words you want to leave people with today?
Well, first, just thank you so much, Trish, for having me on today and letting me talk about my purpose in life. And one of the things that I love that you guys say at WPN is that it's my you know my purpose and my pleasure, and it really is. And you guys have really taught me that and helped me connect with that. And I think purpose is so important in life. And I feel like a little bottle of essential oil sparked my purpose. And I use that to help other people spark theirs, even though theirs might not have anything to do with essential oils. So,
Yeah, wonderful. Kate, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you all for being with us and for listening, for taking everything you've heard and putting it into your life, because you can be real and you can get real. And as a result, you achieve real results. So thank you all for being with us. Trish Carr from Women's Prosperity Network. I really appreciate all of you. Kate Brown, thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone, and join us again next time for Be Real, Get Real. Bye bye, everybody.